having the right expectations when you enter a first date so that you can align yourself with men who are truly a good match for long-term love, and move away from the type of connections which are high burn but short lasting. So I'm going to invite you to ask any questions throughout this live stream, and if you're watching the replay, then hashtag replay and ask me a question below. I will come back to you. I'm also going to tell you at the end of this live stream about a free training that I'm offering at the moment called Dating for Long-Term Love. This training is an incredible resource. It's about 45 minutes of pure gold around your first sort of 1 to 4 dates, expectations you want to be having, typical things that might trip you up or cause you to self-sabotage, and where you want your focus and energy to be on your first dates. So welcome to those of you who are joining. Great to see you. So as you may know, I'm Natalie Ford. I'm a dating coach for women. I work with women who have high standards and want to call in the man of their dreams to cultivate lasting love. So if that's you, this training is for you. I want you to know how to approach the first few dates with the correct mindset and the correct expectations so that you can open your heart to the right men and ensure that you're only giving your valuable time to men who are good matches for long-term love, and that you're not wasting your time with those connections which, you know, can feel really intense and chemical full in the beginning, but they burn fast and then they burn out very, very quickly. And that is an extreme waste of your time and your emotional energy. And it's the sort of thing that will just deplete you and cause you to feel exhausted and make you wonder, like, why am I even bother, dating? So I want you to be able to approach dating in a way that really respects and honors your energy, your emotions, and takes care of your heart, whilst also calling in the man who really meets all of your standards and is your ideal match. So hello to those of you who are joining. Welcome, welcome. So the typical problems that I see women facing in the early stages of dating, there's sort of 2 main categories that these fall into, the problems fall into, where either I see women who do have high standards and are really clear on their high standards, but as soon as they start dating in person, the chemicals take over and all the standards go out the window, and they end up being driven by their emotional body and their hormones, essentially, which are very intentionally designed to create an early attachment for the purposes of reproduction and survival of the species. But in terms of conscious dating and being a conscious woman, this is not helpful. You want to be able to keep your emotions in check and be able to only give as much to yourself, to the connection, as the safety has been established in the connection, which will take time to build. It's around, seeing his integrity, seeing his values, seeing whether or not he can uphold boundaries, whether he can speak his truth, and what his long-term vision is for a relationship. So those things we'll talk about later. The second category that I typically see women falling into with early dating is the opposite. Is they get on a first date and they're expecting this flood of emotional chemicals, and they're expecting to feel something really alive and amazing, and this sort of emotional intensity, and they believe that is an indication that they found a really good match. And I'm actually here to break that myth today, to actually say that is probably a trauma bond, and that is probably going to lead to a lot of emotional chaos further down the line. And we'll speak more about that as we go through today's session. Hello, my love. Hello, those of you who are joining. So when you approach dating without having clear expectations for how a first date or the first few dates should look and feel, you end up on a really intense emotional roller coaster. You end up either in the first category of being swept away with the emotions. You know, there's that phrase, swept off my feet, and you literally are. If you think about the masculine and the feminine energies, which my posts have been speaking about recently, the masculine is the very grounded, upright energy. And when you are swept off your feet, the masculine is literally taken from underneath you. So the masculine energy is there to provide safety for you. And if you are taken off your feet, swept off your feet, your masculine, your safety has been disarmed. And so you're vulnerable, you're highly exposed. And this is where we can often get hurt very quickly in relationship. We often invest too quickly in the connection. And you feel that sense of vulnerability. Like you feel like, I don't know if he likes me as much as I like him. Like I'm really into him. I'm really feeling him. But, you know, he's only texting me like once a week. And I don't know if he's really vibing this. That sense of like, oh, I think I'm in too deep. And the truth is you are in too deep for that stage in the relationship. You've gone too soon, too fast. Is that what I mean? Yeah, I think you know what I mean, right? You've gone too deep, too quickly. The alternative is, and actually, do you know, I don't know if I spoke to this properly before, so sorry. I think I got off on a tangent. But the second point and the alternative here is that women come in expecting this emotional high, but actually they don't get it. They're met with somebody who's really grounded, really solid, really compatible. And this emotional sort of the beginning of the roller coaster, you know, when you're going up the roller coaster and your stomach is like in your throat and you're like, oh my God, like, is this the one? That isn't there. And so they believe that means that this is not a match. This is not a good connection. And I'm also here to dispel this myth and tell you that actually that might not be true. There are some other factors that are important to check for, because getting on this roller coaster, you know where that leads, right? You know, you go up and then you have this crash down, and then typically you've got the loops. You know, dating is not supposed to be like this. This is dating without setting the correct expectations in the beginning of your dating experience and your first few dates. When you're on the emotional roller coaster, your feminine energy, your emotional body is leading the connection, and your masculine energy, your safety, has got left behind and is not along with the ride to take care of your heart. So your heart is exposed. You can feel really vulnerable and you get hurt very easily. So having the right expectations in the beginning of your in-person dating, like especially the first date, but up until about your third or fourth date, is so important. What happens when you've got the right expectations is you can go into your first date feeling relaxed, confident, and really clear what it is that you want to get out of that first date, so that at the end of that first date, you know whether or not he is a good match to go to date number 2. Date numbers 2, 3, and 4 are a continuation of this. You want to know exactly how you feel in your body around him, and whether or not that is a trauma response or a secure connection response, which is really what you're aiming for. So I'm going to speak a bit more about this, and my training, which I'm going to give you the free link for at the end of this live stream, Dating for Long-Term Love, that goes deep into all of these pieces, and that's where you're really going to learn the meat around this. So hello to those of you who are joining. Welcome. Okay. I have some notes, as you can tell. So you want to be approaching the first few dates going into this really clear about the type of guy that you want to get into a relationship with and how that is going to look and feel when you meet him in person. What type of personality traits you're looking for, what type of emotional chemistry, what type of language he uses when he speaks, what type of things he's into, his interests, his hobbies, his values, and how do you uncover those things so that you can learn this stuff about him really quickly and therefore not waste time dating the wrong men. So you want to have clarity in the beginning of your dating experience, like before the first date and during the first date. And you also want to feel really calm, grounded, centered. I'm going to take questions in just a moment. Thank you, Ramandeep. You want to feel calm, grounded, centered, and not swept away by your emotions. So Ramandeep's asking, what if you're dating someone who's religious and you're not religious? Well, that doesn't need to be a compatibility issue. It might be, but it really comes down to how strongly you each feel about it and how it impacts you. Is he open to being with somebody who is not religious? Or is he very dogmatic and is insistent that you must conform to the same religion as him? In which case, that's a question for you around how do you feel about that? Are you open to his religion? Are you open to conforming to a religion in order to, is he the man of your dreams? And in which case, if he is, are you open to his ideologies around the religion? Whether it doesn't really matter so much what religion it is, it's about how do you feel about that religion? Are you open to it? So is respecting that enough for him, or does he actually need you to participate and to conform and to be indoctrinated into that religion? It's something that will unfold over time, and you get to ask the questions to him, Ramandeep. You get to say, be clear in yourself, first of all, where you stand with this, because this is about a standard for you. How strongly do you feel about your stance, and how strongly do you feel about his stance? And is there a space for you to find a middle ground, or are you on two separate pages? And then it's a conversation to have with him around, I'm not of the same religion as you, and I'm not really feeling to step into that religion. I'm happy to respect your religion, and I'm happy to support you in all the ways that you participate in your religion. But please know that, it's going to be your religion, not my religion. And be upfront about that. Don't waste time, because if he is really solid in this and you are really solid in yours and these are not compatible, there's no point spending 4, 5, 6, 10 dates only to break both of your hearts later down the line. Like, it's better to separate now and realize this is a deal breaker, or to decide that actually it's something that you can work on. So yeah, I think I've answered that. Thank you for the question. So again, this comes down to, you want to be clear on this type of stuff in the beginning. I'm not a religious person either. But I'm okay to date somebody who is religious as long as they can also respect my values around that I'm not the sort of person that's going to go to church. I'm happy to go on special occasions, and I'm happy to support somebody in their wishes. If there's a special occasion, they want me to be there, and, it involves me, being part of the ceremony or whatever, sure, because it's important to them. But am I going to go every week? Am I going to pray, daily? No, that's not for me. And if somebody requires that in a partner, I'm not the partner for them, and they're not the partner for me. So then that's a standards incompatibility, and it's better to know that up front, so that when you are on your first date, these are the type of questions that you can be asking and really getting in there. Because this isn't necessarily the first conversation I would open with on a first date, but if he's opened, if he's like, I have a strong religious belief and I want anyone I date to be part of that, then obviously the conversation has begun. So by all means, step into that and clarify, because you might discover inside of the first date that that is an absolute deal breaker. He might be very dogmatic about the religion. And I'm speaking about this in detail because it applies to anything, you know. You might have somebody who's very dogmatic about a certain way of life, like veganism, vegetarianism, or, you know, sort of very, very strong beliefs around, well, really anything, actually, anything where there's a very strong belief. You don't necessarily need to know in advance how you feel about that, but you do need to check in with yourself and know yourself well enough to know, is this something I can dance with, or is this gonna be a deal breaker? Now, actually, I'll let you into a little secret here. I don't think I've spoken about this much in any of my material, actually. So, yeah, you're getting a bit of a what's it called? I've lost the word, but where you tell us a premiere, a bit of a premiere here. So my partner and I, who I've now been with for nearly 3 years, and he is my forever man, and, you know, we are on the path towards like marriage and all the things. We actually had something that looked like a deal breaker in the beginning. And after 4 dates, we were beginning to fall in love, which is insane, but that's just how good a match we were. Like, normally I wouldn't fall in love with somebody that quickly, but we were such a good match, and we knew ourselves really, really well. We knew exactly what we wanted out of a relationship, out of a partner. We'd communicated these things. So by 4 dates in, we were like, wow, this looks like the one. It looks incredible. But in our 4th date, we revealed something. I revealed something, actually, that could have potentially destroyed our relationship. And actually, it almost did. But we worked through it. Sorry, I'm just saying hello to somebody who's arrived. Hi there, my love. The piece was, how much detail do I want to give here? So I was very involved in a particular tantric community. I have a tantric background. For those of you who's been following me for a long time, I used to be a sexuality practitioner for women. I work a lot from the tantric field, and I incorporate that a lot into the way that I coach women to find love as well. And I was very deeply involved in a tantric community, and they were my social circle, my everything really at that point, particularly as a single woman. And my partner was not involved in Tantra, and felt some challenges around this. And actually, after our 4th date, he actually said to me, I think you're incredible. I think you're amazing. I would love to see a future with you, but I just think this is going to be a deal breaker for us. Like, your involvement in the tantric world, your involvement in sexuality work, it's just too challenging for me. I don't think I can find a place in myself where I'm okay with that and I'm comfortable with that. And as a result, I'm gonna say thank you, and this isn't for me. And I was heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken. As I say, we'd only had 4 dates, but I was already starting to fall in love with this guy, and I knew he felt the same. I knew it. I could feel it. Like, we were so good together. So I was very honest with him. And I triggered him a bit, because I said, I hate to tell you this, but you're going to regret this decision. Like, I know how good a match we are. I know that this is right, and I know that we can work through this. And I think you bailing out at this point is the wrong thing to do. But he was really sure in himself. He said, I don't think I can move through this. So he broke up with me. And I was heartbroken, and I cried for about 3 days. And then I was like, do you know what? Fine. That's it. We don't meet each other's standards. I just have to accept that. I just have to move on. And I'm picking myself up, and I'm going to get back out there and see who else is available online, because he'd made it really clear that he was done. And literally about two days after that, I think I just started like rewriting my dating profile. You know how you always update it after you've had a bad relationship? I was like, right, I need to add some things here. And he messages me. He's like, you were right. I am regretting this decision. And I was like, oh, okay, we need to talk. So we had a video call, and we talked for, I think, 2 hours. We talked it all through, what it meant for him, my tantric community, my sexuality work, what it meant for me, where I was and wasn't negotiable. negotiable, where I could and couldn't negotiate, what was a hard boundary for me, what was a flexible boundary, and likewise for him. And this conversation, it took 2 hours on that day to get us to a point where we said, okay, we can find a way forward. Let's resume the relationship. And oh my God, it was such a relief, because I was like, I know that we're supposed to be together. So I was so happy that we found a way back together. But that conversation and that negotiation continued for 18 months until we found a place to get really comfortable with it. And for 18 months, it was an edge that we walked of, can we really find a way to be together around this? Because for me, my tantric community and my tantric practices and my sexuality work was a big part of my life then, and had become less part of my life over COVID because of, contact reasons. You can't be, physically close to people. And over those 18 months, my partner grew more comfortable with it as well. He understood what it meant for me, why I was doing it, what my intentions were, what my heart was invested in this. And I understood what his fears were. I understood, because the tantric world, if you're not in the tantric world, it's really scary. Everybody assumes that everybody's having orgies and, all the things. And it's not necessarily like that. I mean, I'm sure there are some communities like that, but it doesn't need to be like that. And so, me exploring my partner's fears, him exploring my desires and what needs were being met for me in the tantric community and in my sexuality work, that what other ways could we meet those needs? So sometimes the negotiation can take some time. As I say, like, we managed to get to a place within 2 hours of realizing, okay, there is ground for us to walk together here, but it actually took us 18 months to really put that issue to bed and say, okay, we're good with it now. I'd found a place where I was really happy. He found a place where he was really happy. And we were no longer, bashing our heads around trying to navigate that issue. So you've got to be really clear in the beginning of a relationship when you're going in, because in all honesty, if that conversation had come up on date one, it would have been a much easier conversation because we would not have been emotionally invested. And there is a chance that actually we may not have chosen to continue, but equally we might have done, because even on date one, we could tell that, that it felt good. It felt easeful and comfortable. But I'm going a bit off track. So let me bring you back to where I want to take us today. And hello, those of you who are still watching. If you have any questions, please just drop them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. So some of the mistakes that we can make on first dates are being too judgmental. This is a big, big one that I see in a lot of the clients that I work with. Things like, oh, I didn't like the way he dressed, or he was nervous and he wasn't really confident enough. Generally, most people are nervous on a first date. It's not everybody, and that's true, but give people leeway. If somebody's nervous on a first date, see them on a second date or a third date. Let's see if that continues. First dates can be really intimidating. The judgment piece, how important is it to you, really, the way that somebody dresses? It's an expression of their personality, so get to know the deeper personality. Particularly if you've only seen one outfit, don't judge somebody based on one outfit. Don't make these snap judgments, because you're going to be turning away people who potentially are a really good match. And likewise, another mistake that is common to make on the first date is believing that having this surge of high emotional connection, sort of the intensity, means that you're actually in a really compatible. And actually what it really means is that this energetic connection is reminding your nervous system of something that was traumatic in the past. And your nervous system is in an elevated state of fight or flight as to whether or not to proceed with this connection. It feels intense, and you may have learned that intensity was a way that maybe your parents expressed love as a child. So the intensity can cause you to believe that this is a right connection, but often this level of intensity is actually a red flag. So what do you want to do instead? You want to be really, really clear in what your standards are. You want to know yourself deeply, and you want to go into the first date already having established that he is a good match for most of your standards. Now, how do you do this? Well, I always advocate online dating because it's a place where you can see from somebody's profile a lot about them. You can message them a few times before you meet. And I always advocate having a video date as well to meet somebody before you go to the whole effort of getting all dressed up, leaving your house, journeying to your meeting place and taking a good few hours out of your day. Do not waste your valuable time until you have established that he and this relationship and this connection is worthy of investing that time. So I would love to go deeper into this, but this is a short live stream that I'm just ending just now. Hello, those of you who are with me and joining. You can learn so much more about everything that I have just taught in my free training, Dating for Long-Term Love. This is a 45-minute video with me and one of my teaching partners, Sanjay Joshi. So you get the feminine and the masculine perspective, the male and female perspective around how to approach first dates. And Sanjay also puts in a lot of magic around how it is for a man to be on a first date, what they experience, what they go through, so that we as women can have that insight around what your partner your date partner might be experiencing in that moment, and why he might be showing up a certain way, and what he needs from you so that he can feel more open, more relaxed, so that he can bring his best self. So Sanjay and I go into a lot of detail, 45 minutes. It really is a gold training, and it is a freebie. So if you would like to receive that training, drop a blue heart emoji in the comments below, and I will DM you the link for that training where you can sign up and receive it. And some of the things that we go through in that training. So we talk about how should a first date feel in your body? Should it be this emotion and chemical driven connection where there's a lot of chemistry, or should it feel something different? We talk about that a lot, actually. We talk about how can you pre-qualify dates to ensure that when you actually get on your first date, you already know that they're a good match, and you know that it's worth investing those few hours of your day to actually, go to somewhere, meet in person, spend some time with them. Generally, the clients that I work with, they never have a bad first date because we do so much pre-qualifying before they get on the first date. We talk about how to, what type of things to do on your first few dates to ensure that you're really getting the best out of them. We talk about how the communication should feel between dates. We talk about what sort of pace you want to be going as well, between dates 1, 2, 3, and 4. And at what point should you get into physical intimacy? This is always a question people love to ask me. So we cover that on the training as well. We talk about the progression from date 1 to 2 to 3 and 4. And what sort of things you want to be looking for at each of those stages. How can you establish if he is worth going to the next date? Because you're a busy woman. You've got a career. You've got a full life. Friends, family, career, all the things going on, and you only want to be giving your time to situations that really warrant it, situations that are a good investment of your time, that are going to result in you actually finding your ideal man and cultivating your forever relationship. So what sort of things should you be looking for on those dates to make sure that you're not giving your time to situations that are just going to crash and burn, or going to end up with ghosting, or going to end up with him, 2 months in saying, actually, I don't really want anything serious. This is just casual for me. All of those situations you want to avoid. We talk about whether or not you should pay or allow him to pay on the first date, or should it be 50-50? We talk about love bombing, red flags, how to spot when somebody's trying to sort of like manipulate you in that way. We also talk about the polarities between masculine and feminine energy. If you're a really strong, empowered woman, you will naturally be a lot in your masculine energy. And if you want to call in a man who's also really in his masculine energy, how can you dance with those polarities so that each of you get to be in your masculine and feminine at alternating times, so that you can have that polarity, which creates the beautiful chemistry in the love connection, also in the bedroom, also in the banter, the humor. You know, this polarity plays out in every single aspect of the relationship. It's super important. And it is super important to learn how to dance that. Hi Delaney, beautiful, thanks for the blue heart. So yeah, just for those of you who may have missed me saying it earlier, drop me a blue heart in the comments here if you want my free training, which is the one I'm talking about right now, Dating for Long-Term Love. I will send you the link in a DM. What else did we cover? Sorry, I'm just going through the final notes. Yeah, we talk about a willingness to be supported and to receive, which as a strong woman can be an edge, you know, how to trust, and how to make dating fun so that you can just relax and enjoy it. So if that sounds like the type of training that you would love to receive, all you have to do is drop a blue heart emoji, just like Delaney has done. Thank you so much. And I will send you a DM with the link to sign up for this training. It's completely free. And yeah, it's an absolute gold investment of 45 minutes of your time.